So it's now my great honor to offer a few words of Torah here in person. And first, I just want to say, before any Torah, our prayers tonight are lifting me in a different way than they've done all year. And it's because all year long I've had to have the faith that there was prayer going on the other side of the screen. For a year I've been pushing buttons and making sure that we had the right thing up on the screen. And tonight, the right thing up on the screen is all of us. We've created such a beautiful community to gather here together to offer us blessings in person. And I hope that you feel like me. You feel just how elevated those blessings are on a night like tonight where we can pray really together. I want to share with you just a very quick piece of Torah tonight, and then I want to get on to celebrating our volunteers, celebrating our board and all of the heads of committees, all the people who do all the amazing work that makes TBD the special place that it is. And as I was thinking about what an amazingly special place TBD is, and I was looking in this week's portion, I stumbled across something that kind of really piqued my interest. You see, in this week's portion, we learn about Miriam's well. So it turns out that as the Jews are traveling through the desert, as they're traveling throughout the wilderness, now I can see more of you. I can now see Cliff. I couldn't see Cliff before. I got to be able to see Cliff. As the Jews are traveling throughout the desert, they have a well that goes with them. And it's this week that the well disappears. It is this, I can't even see Essie now. I'm going to switch back and forth. I'm going to make sure I get everybody a little bit here. It's this well that travels with them, and this week it disappears because in this week's portion, we lose Miriam. Miriam, Moses and Aaron's sister, passes away, and with it, this magical well. And this week, when we learn about the well, we learn that what it means for it to be a magical well is this is a well that you would put your bucket down into, and when you would bring your bucket back up, it wouldn't just have water. There would be dates and figs and pomegranates. Some days there would be little fish swimming around in there, a good tasty lunch, anybody who likes, little kippers or anything like that. And throughout their entire time in the desert, from this well, they not only got water, they got all of this tasty fruit. They got all of this miraculous bounty coming up from the desert, coming up from the wilderness, where it didn't belong, and being offered to all the people of Israel. And for me, this raised a question. If we've had this miraculous well for so long, why didn't we mention it as we were benefiting from it? They've been journeying through the wilderness for 40-odd years now, and nobody has mentioned this well. You would have thought at some point during the conversation about the fact that there's no food in the desert and that the people were upset and that they wanted manna to fall from the sky, that Moses would have said, but remember, you have Miriam's well, this miraculous well that offers you everything that you need. Yet we don't hear about it till this week. Simply because you don't know what you have till it's gone. I think for a lot of us in this community, we didn't understand how special this space is. This garden, this building, the ability to gather together, to have meetings together, to join together for school, to create art in this space, to create holy moments in this space. I don't think we realized how precious it is, what a miracle, what bounty flows from this well until we lost it. Now, don't get me wrong, this last year was absolutely amazing. We have gathered our spirit together in ways that I could not have dreamed of. To understand this to be true, all you have to do is look around this space. In this space, our wonderful garden, we have several testaments to the moments that we've gathered together this past year. These streamers along the side of our space right now, filled with prayers and stories and love from members of our congregation as we celebrated Shavuot. The Gaga pit that now all along the outside is beautifully painted from our last day of school. That beautiful wall of love and peace, of just oozing TBD goodness that you can see in the back that we painted during the holidays. This year has been different. This year has been hard, and we need to understand that as wonderful as it was for us to come together, that I think all of you, just like me, as we're now back together, are feeling some of the loss of that past year. We're starting to realize the things that we missed out on, not being able to gather here together in this space. And so I want to ask you to try to do a very holy thing with me. The Jews, when they lost the well of Miriam in the desert, started complaining. If you come tomorrow morning to Max Shackman's bar mitzvah, you'll get to hear all about it, that they start complaining to Moses. They drive him crazy, and Moses, the leader, goes and strikes the rock. And from that moment of breaking, from that moment of frustration, the people receive their water. But it's a water without any of the blessings, a water without any of that miraculous fruits. No figs and pomegranates, no dates, just water. So as we gather back together as a community, as we turn to our committee chairs, to all of our volunteers, let us acknowledge that we're in a place of danger where frustration could cause us to strike the rock. Realizing what we've lost this year, what it is that we need to continue to build again, is going to be really hard. Hopefully it will be filled with moments like this, moments where you can physically feel the blessing. But it's also going to be filled with moments where we're going to be tempted to strike that rock. And I hope that as tonight we celebrate our volunteers, that you'll start to understand, like I have understood, the miraculous fruit in our well that is our volunteers. The wonderful gifts that each and every single one of you give to our community. And that as we rebuild that well, that we should rebuild it not by striking the rock, but by intentionally and consciously putting the pieces back together, welcoming each and every member of our community back in, changed, a little different for the journey through the wilderness, but ready again to drink deeply from those miraculous waters. So as the end of my Dvar Torah tonight, I would like to take an opportunity to recognize all of the different volunteers we have in this community. And if I was to sit here and go by name, we would be here till tomorrow morning's bar mitzvah, right? Let us start by acknowledging that every single person in this community does something. And so instead of going by name, I'm going to go by committee. And I ask that as I mention a committee that you are a part of, a group that you are a part of, that you please rise so we may all together bless you. We are fortunate in our community to have our school committee. Since we're not in the sanctuary, why don't we do a little clapping? We're allowed to do such things. And our religious affairs community, would you stand up? Chai and Chesed membership, YAC, our young adult committee. We just keep the applause going. We're gonna have to go all the way through this. Library and choir, you guys can give me more applause than that. Adult ed, they definitely deserve some applause. Choir and the liaison committees, especially the liaison committee for the cantor that welcomed her into our community this year. Tikkun Olam, building and grounds, fundraising, budget and finance, nominating committee, our board and exec. There are so many people who offer their love and their support to this community. And I hope as you look around now that you can see the people who are that miraculous fruit in our well. Now look up here at me. This is my promise to you. I promise to try as hard as I possibly can to not let us strike the rock. I'm going to try to have us talk to each other, listen to each other, and move forward. But just like this moment in our Torah text, we have to acknowledge there's some pain here. Something's been broken this past year. We have something to put back together. I want to thank you for everything you have done to bring this community together this year. The amount of text messages, people participating in meetings, even from their car. I'm thinking about you, Alexei. All the people who joined on Zoom, all the people who, the amount of tech practices it took to get us outside here in a way where you can hear me, and Zoom works and all these things. All of the amazing work that was done by this community. We're not going to take it for granted. And as I ask you to do even more this year, to replenish that well, to bring those miraculous fruits back, if you're in a moment of frustration, if you feel like you're going to hit the rock, come talk to us. It's amazing what you've done. I do not take it for granted. Cantor Mayan has been welcomed to a community that she can clearly see has blessings upon blessings in a way that other communities simply cannot, because you could never pay this many people to care this much. But here the only payment that you ask for is our love and our devotion, and Cantor Mayan and I, we pledge that to you. And as we make it through this year, please let us know if you're going to strike the rock, so we may help you move forward and bring your fruit, your blessings, to our holy well. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. You sustain and nourish us with the sacred wisdom and traditions of our people, teaching Torah to us and to our children. May God bless you all and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. You work alongside us to bring the light of justice and compassion to God's broken world. May God's face shine upon you all, and may God always be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. You bear witness to our lives and accompany us all on our journeys. You help us elevate our consciousness and search in every hour for God's presence in our lives. For your dedication to our community, may God lift all of your hearts and grant you wholeness, fulfillment, and peace. And we all say, Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be the divine will. You may be seated. Now, before we move towards the end of our service and take a moment to acknowledge our new board, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the non-Jewish spouses who are a part of our community and who offer so much. And so if you are here tonight as a non-Jewish spouse, as one who has joined our community even though you are not Jewish, who continues to show up and volunteer time and time again, I ask that you please stand up. I ask now that all of us take our hands and raise them. If you would like, you can do in the Kohen way, in the priestly way, so we may offer them our blessing. Misha berach avotenu v'imotenu, may the one who bless our ancestors and their families, whose actions strengthen the Jewish people, bless each one of you. Like our biblical ancestors, Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, who was not Jewish but gave sound advice on leading the people. Achashverosh, who loved his wife Queen Esther and by edict ensured that her people would not be destroyed by Haman's plots. Ruth and Orpah, who married Jewish men and stood by their mother-in-law Naomi even when her sons had tragically died. Zipporah, Moses' wife, whose action in the wilderness of circumcising her son ensured that they would remain part of the covenant. You, too, have responded to the call. We now bless you for saying yes. We are inspired by you for giving of yourself to the Jewish community. We are inspired by you for helping your children to be proud Jews. At a time when so many forces, so many, are tearing apart our world and the Jewish people, we bless you for building up the Jewish people. Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmerechem. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem v'chunchem. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav eleichem vayasem lechem shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Kenny Ratzon, may this be the divine will. You may be seated.